In the last video, I said that no more videos were happening in this studio, and I think I lied, because I bought a guitar that I never buy. I never buy Paul Reed Smiths, but in this case right here, I bought what I think might be the Paul Reed Smith that would make me really like them and be excited about them. Now, I do own an SC Custom 24. I still don't think that the SCs are really a Paul Reed Smith, and now that I don't work at a PRS dealer, I can say that more honestly. The PRS SCs are amazing value for what they are, but they're cool. They're cool. It's like a Hyundai Genesis. Like, it's a very cool, very good import thing, but it's not this. And so let's talk about this thing. I'm Jeremy, this guitar hunter, and I'm back to doing what I freaking love doing most in my life. Buying badass guitars, making videos talking about them, and yeah, so I'm about to move to New Orleans, but in the meantime, I bought this thing. This is the first real PRS I've ever owned. I've had a couple for consignment, I've had a couple that are just in my orbit for a minute, but this is the first one I've actually owned. It's the first one I've ever actually in my heart and soul wanted to own. This one caught my eye. It came into my friend Elliot's shop here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. We're getting ready to move, and I shouldn't be in the place of buying many guitars, but this one just felt right, looked cool. It was the right thing. So I really like this guitar. It is kind of PRS's take before they did I know they did the 594. PRS is so confusing as far as what shapes and features. It feels a bit like going through like to a Mexican restaurant, and you're like, oh, there's 78 lunch options. But when you really look that closely, you're like, well, do you want meat inside the tortilla or meat on top of the tortilla, or do you want cheese on the outside? So it's just a mix. So with PRS, it's like, well, do you want humbuckers? Do you want 2 volumes, 2 tones? Do you want a single cutaway or a double cutaway? Do you want mahogany on the back and sides, or do you want a bolt-on neck? I mean, it's just, they're from the outside, and I'm still very much on the outside with PRS, and this video isn't going to help. I think overall PRS they're so much of the same thing, just with minor tweaks. But this is kind of as close as they have come to making a Les Paul style guitar, and so that's what I want to like Les Pauls so much. I still think humbucker guitars, overall, they're too overwhelming, too bassy, too hissy, just too much of everything. Okay, it's been about a week with this guitar, and I want to talk about, is this the guitar that actually would I buy this over a Gibson? This is a funny thing from PRS. This is so much of what they don't normally do. This is more thoughtful, more subdued, an amber color. So in a whole lot of ways, this is not what PRS should do in my mind. They should be absurd, they should be bright, they should be pink, they should be blue. They should be crazy and tremolo and coil taps. And this thing it's cool, but man, it misses the mark for both companies in my mind. This guitar is quite similar to Gibson's, but it is not what PRS should be in my mind. They should be absurd, beautiful, wild colors, ridiculous flame. And while this is an incredibly flamey top, it's so tame and subtle. And it's cool. It's a good, this is not their thing. It's a good thing. But man, I would hang on to this before I hang on to a Les Paul. I don't usually like Les Pauls. They're too heavy, they're too clunky, they're too overdrivey. I think this one, if I can keep the gain down on this guitar, it definitely fits into my vibe. That's my note to weekend. Want a great deal, buy a used boutique. If you want to lose your freaking tail, buy a new one. That's the hard reality of a lot of boutique guitars. So this guitar, I don't know for sure, but I would bet this guitar was probably around $4,000 when it was new, $3,500 to $4,000. If you compare it spec-wise, let's run through that real quick. It's a maple cap, it's mahogany back and sides, it's a single cut, it's really light. I feel pretty confident that this guitar is chambered. Yeah, it sounds pretty chambered. Has a great neck profile on it. They definitely are going for a Les Paul kind of thing. This is a 24.5-inch scale length, so just a little shorter than a Les Paul. Right? 24.5? Yeah, it would have been 24 3/4. Anyway, but so with this guitar, I mean, it's a boutique guitar. It's made in Maryland, and like boutique guitars before it, big price tag up front because labor is expensive and materials are expensive and manufacturing in the US is expensive, and doing it at any kind of scale still makes the end product expensive. It's a quality thing, and that's the thing, is like, don't come to a boutique looking for value. Come at it understanding the quality that you're getting into. So with that said, this guitar's taken a huge hit, so it's probably worth half of what it sold for new. And that's the thing that really breaks my heart about PRS, and that's what's always stressed me out about advocating people to buy them. I have very cautiously told people to buy new ones, and then there's also a very specific buyer for PRS guitars. Anyway, I want to keep this video short and brief, but this guitar, great value. Value comes in on the secondhand market when you're like, what? Somebody paid $4,000 and I can get this for $2,000 or under $2,000? So that's where it seems very exciting and interesting to me. So that is pretty much the end of this video. Just kind of ran up against the cliff here, but I enjoy this guitar a lot. It will be for sale very quickly, and I am incentivized to make good deals with people. So patrons and channel members get first deals on guitars and gear. So if you want an early crack at these guitars, that's one of the biggest perks that comes with being a patron, is that you get substantial discounts. Like, I usually give 20% off to people that are in the circle. So if you figure, hey, I'm going to pay $3 a month to be a friend of Guitar Hunter, and then I end up getting 20% off one guitar, that works out great. That makes it very worthwhile. I try to add as much value as I can to the Patreon and channel members' lives. So with all that said, think about becoming a channel member. Cool guitar, and I'm excited to have it. It won't be here long, like me, because I'm moving to New Orleans. So anyway, see you later. Bye.